Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Did you have time to take the quiz? If you've made any mistakes, don't worry. Mistakes are a very important part in the journey of science. Scientists make mistakes all the time to actually test their theories and to get to the best results possible. But now we're moving on to part 2 of this journey through astronomy. Did you know that astronomy can be accessible? Did you know that astronomy can be simple, that we can understand it? I'll give you some examples. One way to start understanding astronomy, cosmology, and everything else is through TV series, documentaries, films, cartoons, YouTube channels, social media channels, and everything else. So here are a few of my favorites. You can watch Cosmos on Netflix. It's the new version of an old show, an old TV show by Carl Sagan, one of the greatest scientists from the 80s. You can watch The Universe, a documentary series about curiosities and the origins of the universe in History Channel. You can watch films, for example, Interstellar, which is my absolute favorite. It's a bit difficult to understand because it talks about time traveling and some theories in physics that are not proven yet, but the looks of the film, the images, the cinematography is absolutely amazing. Down here, you can see Matt Damon in The Martian, a very recent movie, an excellent film that talks about living in a different planet. So, how we could survive living in Mars in his case. And there's also the YouTube channel called PBS Spacetime, Our Universe Explained, with Dr. Matt O'Dowd. Many different videos on different aspects of the universe that are easy to understand and very accessible. I also brought to you some of my favorite Instagram pages. You can see the links here. So follow NASA on Instagram, of course. As you can see, many beautiful pictures, a lot of interesting information, lots of news related to what is happening in space, what NASA is doing in space. I also like to follow the ISS Instagram page. ISS stands for International Space Station. So you can see pictures of astronauts, you can see videos of what they are doing in real time in the International Space Station. Beautiful pictures of the Earth from the space station, as you can see. And the last one is the one that I started following more recently, which is the NASA Webb Telescope Instagram page. And the images here are absolutely amazing. But I'm going to talk about this telescope in a moment. Remember that in part 1 of this journey, I showed you the telescope and the app on your cell phone, on your mobile phone that you can use to access science, to do your own discoveries. Well, let's talk a little bit about constellations and how you can start identifying them in the sky. What are constellations? They are a group of stars that form a pattern, and these patterns are usually named after its shape. So in the past, it was identified with mythological figures, but nowadays we have images of animals or even objects that can be identified by this group of stars. Modern astronomers divide the sky, the night sky, into 88 constellations defined with boundaries. So once one is finished, the other one starts. And we're going to see 3 important and easy to see constellations now. Remember that constellations form shapes. What can you see in this shape? Is it an animal? Have a look. What does it look like? This is a constellation called Ursa Major or Mayor, depending on your language, of course. And it has the shape of a bear, of Ursu or Ursa, right? So you can see from the image here that the stars are connected and that the whole shape of the stars gives us this impression that we are looking at a bear. So how do you find Ursa Major in the night sky? You have to look for the Big Dipper asterism. An asterism is a small group of stars inside a constellation. So if you find this funny shape, I'm going to show them on the screen, of 4 stars and the little tail at the end, you're looking at Ursa Major. And what's interesting about this shape here, it's kind of a rectangle, is that they guide you to the most important star in this constellation, which is Polaris, or the North Star. Polaris is a very important star for navigation because it is located closest to the northern hemisphere. So we always try to find Polaris in order to find our way while navigating. So if you observe the shape of the asterism, it's going to point us to, there she is, Polaris. We call stars it, but I like to call them she because they are estrelas, right? In Portuguese, we refer them as girls. So the asterism here points to her, to Polaris. Now I'm going to show you another image, another pattern of constellations. What can you see from this group? Is it an animal? It looks a bit familiar, doesn't it? This is my favorite constellation, Orion. It's my favorite constellation because it's the easiest one to find in the night sky. And how do you find it? How can you find it? You have to look at the asterism that is called the Orion's Belt. So again, a group of stars inside a constellation, an asterism, and in this case, it forms the belt of this warrior called Orion. So 2 stars form the knee, then we have the belt. 2 important stars form the shoulders, and then we have the bow and the arrow. But if you want to look for Orion in the night sky, look at these 3 stars here, the belt of the warrior. We have talked about 3 important stars in the first video, didn't we? These are what we call in Portuguese the Três Marias. So if you look up in the night sky and you find 3 stars on a straight line, they are the 3 Marias and they are the belt of Orion. Did you know that the middle star in Orion's scabbard, which hangs off his belt, is the Orion Nebula? So the scabbard is this place where we place the sword, a espada, right? So if you are a warrior, you put the sword away. This is a scabbard. So this star here is actually a nebula. A nebula is a group of stars, is a group where actually stars are born. So there's lots of gas, there's lots of dust, and lots of stars being born. So look for the Três Marias or the belt of Orion to find the whole constellation. And our final one, I think this one is easy. What does it look like? This is Canis Major or Canis Major. right? It looks like a dog or a wolf. How do you find this constellation? Well, you look for Sirius. I also talked about Sirius in the first part of this video, right? Sirius is a very important star because it's the brightest star in the night sky, especially here in Brazil, in the southern hemisphere. If you look up at night in the sky and you see a very, very bright star, it's probably Sirius, especially during the winter and during autumn, during the fall. And Sirius is this one here. It's a very big and bright star, and it's placed here on the shoulders or the chest of Canis, of the dog or the wolf. Sirius is also known as the rainbow star because it flickers, it blinks with many different colors. It is a beautiful star to see at night, especially through a telescope. Let's see how much you remember from the constellations. But before that, remember the first picture I showed you when I was out in my balcony and looking up? These are some of the stars that I found there. So you can see Sirius up here, the Tres Marias or Orion's Belt. So this picture is an example of how the constellations are placed together in the night sky. Down here we have Orion's Belt. It's like if the warrior was laying down. So Betelgeuse is one of the knees of Orion. Regal is one of his shoulders, so he's laying down. And right up, if you find Tres Marias, if you find Orion's Belt and Orion's constellation, if you look up, you're going to find the Canis Major constellation with its most important star, Sirius. It's not difficult. Give it a try, okay? But let's test your knowledge on constellations. Let's see how much you remember about them. Take the quiz below, and I'll see you in our final video.